Well, I'm a musician first and foremost. I started playing guitar when I was like 9 years old, which is a pretty interesting story there. I think my mom actually was pretty worried about me when I was a kid. I was pretty shy. And so she said, you have to either do guitar lessons or horse riding lessons, and sent me off. I was like, I'm getting picked on, Mom. I'm doing guitar lessons, not horse riding lessons. I knew what I wanted to do. And things just sort of slowly evolved from there. So I started playing in bands, and I was actually around the age of 17 when things started to change. I realized that there was no way that we were ever going to make the traditional label kind of thing happen again. And uh, we were doing a lot of stuff ourselves at that point already. And interestingly enough, I actually started, I started following John Ojiaka, and to get some ideas about like how we could build a career. And from there, my interest just sort of sparked into the digital marketing side of things. And I just kept sort of following through in the music industry, trying different things. And I still play music. Still, the band is still one big piece of me. And I just found a love for like kind of figuring out the marketing side, but helping other artists to then do it as well. So it's been a long journey. It feels like. Feel like there's far too much separation, and like for me right now, at this exact moment, I feel like we're actually all very much on a very similar page. Like you, me, people who have been in the industry for decades, people who are just starting out. I feel we're actually much closer than we realize to each other in our own experience and our own ability and what we can do. And I think there's still this message that lurks, which is kind of from that major label angle. And it says, we might pick you if you're lucky. And I don't think that's a very healthy message that's getting spread around. And you see so many people, like artists walking, and I've felt like this plenty of times myself too. You're walking around trying to play a show, and you're doing a million things, and you think you're doing most stuff right, and you're guessing a lot of the time. You're like, is this ever going to freaking turn into anything? I have no idea, because I mean, one, sure, nobody has a do this, do that path, and then you've made it. Like, we can't go and do our degree in law and then become a lawyer. Like, we don't have that set path, which is actually a beautiful thing. But that's tough. But I think overall, to give each of us more hope and direction, what we all need to understand is that we're all much closer together than we realize. And I think the more that we collaborate, the more that we openly work together, the more that we share what we know, the faster we'll get to a place where more artists are winning individually and in small groups. And when I say winning, I mean like making a living and building up fan bases and taking steps that are actually moving a career forward. Because I think the wrong steps are really easy to make when you don't know what just some of the right ones are. And I think there's a lot more chance than maybe what is talked about. And there's a lot of amazing people that already talk about this stuff. And that's why I've invited them on the summit. Kind of not so much that, I mean, they're all individually already doing this. It's kind of the same sort of thing. I'm like, well, it'd be far cooler if we can get everybody together at once and try and make a thing of this. So everybody starts not only seeing that a lot of the speakers have similar ideas about how to change. There's a lot of people who are in the trenches working away, and they see what another person sees who's on another country. And I think that's amazing. So from where I stand, everything's now feels a lot smaller and a lot closer than what it did even just a few months ago. And I'm really pumped for other people to see that, maybe I'm not as far away from that next point as I thought I was. I guess to go with what you just mentioned there, one of the big things that I wanted to solve with this is I love going to physical conferences as well. Like you mentioned, I think they're awesome. And I find that, I mean, I've been super lucky to be able to find money from nowhere and just go. Like, it's like I went to South by Southwest this year. It's super expensive when from Australia. And I wish all my friends could go. I wish everybody had the opportunity to get that sort of inspiration. So that was part of the big motivator to put this together. And then the second part is knowing that once you leave one of those places, you inevitably fall flat after a week. You're like, wow, hang on, what was I inspired about? And so I really wanted to have that support mechanism there as well. And maybe that support mechanism will exist. Like, I feel like this coexists with physical events. Like, Big Sound is our version here. And that's happening just before this summit happens. And I'm expecting people to be inside the Facebook group talking about it, talking about that event as well. I think it's all really important. Anyway, add some context there. I don't know if you want any of that, but as far as what's happening here with this event, all the sessions are pre-recorded, and basically you'll be like, people who sign up can watch everything for free. Each session will be there for 3 days. And at any point they can log in, or just basically, pop on over to the Summit Hub and see what sessions are coming. And part of the reason of that is being a musician and an epic procrastinator myself. I want to give musicians a bit of like all right, you can have this for free, but come and pick something to watch and watch it and actually take some notes and then do the work while it's here. And if you get something works, then the session's still there. Come back, watch that bit again that you want to watch, like consume it, action it, and get something from it. Obviously there's the VIP pass too, which is for people who are probably ready to dive in a lot more in depth with me. But I kind of just want to make sure there's something for everybody and give them a bit of a nudge in the process. The fact that these people, and a lot of them I knew, so like, well, not a lot actually, a small handful I knew, and so I sort of went for some relationships that I'd already built first, and knowing that just they would say yes, that'd be my starting point, and then I could branch out from there. And from there, I've found people that I never would have found, and I've been introduced to people that I never would have been introduced, or I may not have had the guts to reach out to. It's been overwhelming in terms of the amount of work to put in, but also the response. So there's like double-sided overwhelm. It's just like, I can't believe this is happening, and I can't believe how supportive this is, and also I can't believe how much work this is. And I've just, like, once I started getting a bunch of yeses, I'm like, I got to keep going. I was originally going to have like 20 speakers, keep it small, and now there's nearly 50. And it's just sort of spiraled, because once somebody else is there and they're like, that was so fun, do you need anybody else? I can introduce you to this person would be great. I'm like, well, I'm not going to say no now, like, we're here. So started off being from like the marketing side of things for myself. I was looking mostly for people who would cover launch strategy from a marketing angle, because I feel like that's what gets missed a lot. So that's where I started. And then I started to think, well, people need, even when you're marketing stuff, you're still often in a creative process too. And getting stuck on a song is actually no different from getting stuck on getting people to pay attention to your song. And so I started reaching out to more people, and which basically means somebody can rock up and pick a few sessions. And actually, I'm going to do on the opening event, I'm going to live stream and basically hand pick sessions for people. So if anybody wants to rock up on day one and hang out with me, then they can basically say, I'm stuck on this. Hey, Steve, what sessions should I pick out? Should I watch? And I'll basically hand throw things at people. Go, you need to check out these ones, because I know there's an overwhelmingly large amount of content. But basically, like, if you were to say, hey, I want to learn about, I'm coming up to a launch. I'd love some ideas on making sure my launch show is great, making sure my performance is great, but I'm also doing a crowdfunding campaign. Then there's a few sessions that are going to be tailored to that. And if you have never written a song that you love, There's going to be stuff on just getting that song right. Yeah, overwhelmingly, everybody has mentioned like how important it is to have great music still. And so haven't just covered the actual release process. I've covered like the launch process from day one and then through to the end. So it is literally like a roadmap to putting music out. There's almost no stone unturned. Like the only thing on my mind is I don't think I've covered grant writing enough. But like almost everything else like I can possibly think of has been covered in good detail, as much detail as it can be with something like this. So musiclaunchsummit.com is the best place to come and hang out. That's where you can grab a pass, free pass, and you also get an invite to the Facebook group too. It's growing fast now. It's only, hasn't been open long, and there's people. This is a bit I'm so excited about. There's people in there working and helping each other and throwing ideas out and telling and saying, I'm stuck on this. Does anybody have help? And people are chiming in. And so what I was hoping would happen after a year has happened in like a couple of months. And so I really strongly encourage anybody signing up to come and hop in the Facebook group. So they can get an invite by getting a free pass or musiclaunchhub.com. And they can follow updates on or any of the Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all Music Launch Hub.
It's running through our heads.